There we go. Can't bring Pat in here without the damn signs, but what's good, Pat? Hey, man, I'm like 17 people over here, man.
Listen, I was about to say that button, that thing just kind of elusive, man.
You got some
but you know
agility,
what?
bro.
For those that don't know, when it comes to hosting and producing and editing your own show, and I've been there before. For those that don't know, you gotta have like 3 heads and like 20 pairs of hands.
Bam.
Like it's serious. I respect it. If you can't find that button, no harm, no foul, brother.
I appreciate you, big dog. How you doing this morning?
I'm good, man. No complaints. Just ready for Sunday, man. Ready for Sunday.
Indeed. Let's give him some little science here, man. This injury report this week, Pat, was really lengthy. I wouldn't go as far as say concerning just yet, but can you give us an update on everybody if you can? But at least the main situations here, and then let me know if there's some light at the end of the tunnel for a guy like Tyron Smith.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to actually we want to play volleyball a little bit here because I'm driving.
Gotcha.
But I'm going to go down the list as much as I can, and then anybody I miss, just throw them back at me, and I'll give you the update. So let's start with the more pressing of all of them. Obviously, let's say Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons banged up his knee and ankle in the win over the Patriots. He said he's good to go. He said it now several times. I had some conversations around the building, and Michael Parsons is indeed good to go. Great news for the Cowboys, to say the least. Zach Martin had a quad issue in that same game. Zach Martin he was limited yesterday, which is good news because he participated at all. Then at least it shows that there is a very, very strong chance that he's on the field. Obviously, he returned last week from that rolled ankle. Cowboys are going to definitely need him and Tyler Biadasz, and both are expected to be on the field as long as nothing worsens with Zach Martin. Keeping to the offensive line, Tyron Smith. It sounded real 50-50 right now. Talking to people around the building, and just yesterday the expectation was that Tyron would be limited in practice, but he never made it that far. So he got through the rehab group, and then they basically said, okay, that's it for today. Now, I will say this, being the caveat, Thursday obviously is a ramp-up day for the Cowboys. If Tyron Smith does anything at all in practice, then it will be a positive sign. But I don't like the air around that one, and that would be disappointing if he can't take the field. If he cannot take the field, but it's still very much wait and see, touch and go with Tyron Smith. We'll see how that goes. Peyton Hendershot missed last week with an ankle injury that cropped up on last Friday. Sean McEwen was elevated in his absence. He did not participate. Hendershot yesterday in practice. I don't know what he's going to do today. We'll find out on that. Malik Hooker cropped up with a shoulder injury, but he was limited. So it looks like that's just something that he's working through. It's not the first thing that he's worked through this week. And I talked to him yesterday, and he sounds like he's in very good spirits. I don't foresee any issues with Malik Hooker. But, again, we still have several days before the game, so let's make sure that he stays that way before we put anything on there. Rico Dowdle, he did not participate yesterday in practice, but his hip injury is a hip contusion, so no structural damage, negative X-rays. The MRI was positive. And the reason you say that, for those that don't remember, it's big news because a hip injury is what put him on IR for the entirety of the 2021 season.
Yeah, I was nervous.
So when he left that game on Sunday, in the third quarter and was immediately ruled out, and it was a hip injury, I sat back in my seat and shook my head and literally said, please, not this again. And I talked to Rico in the locker room right after the game, and he was all smiles. He said the X-rays were negative. MRI was the next day. So positive outlook on Rico. But if he can't go this week, expect Malik Davis to get that elevation. Who am I missing? Chuma Doga, he was on the injury report, but he was full. The rest of the guys, with the exception of Damone Clark's shoulder injury, he was limited. Sounds like they're just being precautious with him. And then the other guys were just veteran rest days, from Jonathan Hankins to DeMarcus Lawrence, CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Gilmore. I mean, they had a lot of veterans getting an off day yesterday. So unless I missed someone, unless I missed my guess, I think that's everybody.
I think you got everybody. One last thing here. I'm just curious. What does NIR rest/knee mean for Lamb? Because if it's not injury related, why did they add knee to the?
Yeah, that's weird. It's kind of a technicality, which is weird. I think if the way the NFL demands the injury report be set up is that if a guy has any kind of pain, ideally the NFL wants that to be on the injury report. Now, you and I both know that's not realistic because guys play with pain all the time, and if it were held to that standard, then everybody's injury report by week 8 would read like the
whole team,
right? So, yeah, the whole team, everybody's entire team. So I think that's just one of those things where CeeDee Lamb was going to get the day off yesterday for rest anyway, just as he did last Wednesday. But then going through the medical, they said, hey, is there anything at all? And he said, hey, yeah, this. And they're like, okay, throw that on there. But if it were truly injury-related, then they would not have been able to use NIR, which is not injury-related. So that's how you take that away. If you ever see NIR, like with Zach Martin, for example, that NIR tells you that it doesn't matter what he was dealing with, he was going to be rested, get a good bit of rest anyway. That was the last week designation. So you'll see kind of how that plays out politics-wise, but there's no concern on CeeDee Lamb.
Gotcha.
I mean, he's ready to go. I talked to him yesterday a couple of times, and, he's just flashing the pearly whites. He's ready to get to San Francisco.
Another one that was kind of flashing those pearly whites in regards to his injury was Tony Pollard. He opened up a bit about his injury coming off of the Niners' loss in the playoffs, and you can just tell he's excited to be back out here for this. And I know sometimes it gets overlooked. It really shouldn't be overlooked, but when he went out in that game, it felt like the offense went with him. But when he talked to the press yesterday, when he talked to you guys, and I'm not sure if you talked to him off the record, but how's he feeling going into this game, knowing that last time he was on that stadium, it ended the way it ended?
He is champing at the bit. There's no other way for me to put it. Like you said, like you saw yesterday in the interview with the media, he was, frustrated and kind of disappointed, not kind of disappointed, but very disappointed in, the injury and when it happened and the magnitude of the game. And like he said yesterday, the Cowboys were in position to score. They had driven down the field. They were making strides on that particular possession, and they were likely about to punch it in and get some points, and then he goes down with a broken leg. And like you said, the Cowboys offense went to the sideline with him. They didn't have another dynamic playmaker in the backfield like that to kind of offset what they were trying to do in the passing game, and it just wrecked the entire afternoon for the Cowboys, which is why, you lose 12-19. If ideally you hold the San Francisco 49ers to 19, you win that game. That's how it's supposed to be looked at. But without the offense and without Tony Pollard, it wasn't there. So, Pollard is just ready to get back out there. He wants some revenge. He is balancing saying that the Cowboys approach every game the same way with those little tea leaves kind of peeking out every once in a while that let you know, like, yeah, this is the game. This is the game. He's returning to the scene of the crime, and he wants to get to it. And the beauty of it for the Cowboys is not only are they returning with their top playmaker and Tony Pollard back on the field, but they're also returning with a stable of other playmakers, including the backfield as well. So, yeah, Pollard is ready to get to work.
Yeah, man, you said it right there. And I want to pick that right back up because, this is a Cowboys-Niners trilogy now with this particular set, right? Dan Quinn and Shanahan and, their guys, our guys. Most of these players were here in 2021, 2022, and now we're going for round 3. And I think I can feel the energy of the importance of this game just through the screens, right? Your phone or your TV or your computer. But the players are talking about how, hey, this is not another game. The coaches are saying this is not another game. And the Cowboys have, brought over a lot more players to help, get over this hump. But are you feeling that energy when you're walking around the Star from the organization that this is a big game here?
Hell yes, I am.
Yes.
From the coaching staff to the front office personnel that are walking around, and most certainly from the players. These guys are ready. Talked to LVE directly after the win over the Patriots, and he echoed something that he said during training camp when he was asked about the 49ers, and he said, I had that circled. So when you talk about leaders like LVE and DeMarcus Lawrence, now DeMarcus, of course, DeMarcus is DeMarcus. Like, Tank is Tank. So when he was asked about the 49ers this week, he was like, oh, is that who we play this week? Okay, Tank, we get it.
Yeah, Tank.
We get it. You're the man. Do your thing. We get it. The shade is fun. But these guys, man, they're ready to get out there, and they know that this is a game that they need to have.
Yeah.
And I know that there are a lot of people saying, well, it's only week 5. Do you need to have this game? The Cowboys need to have this game because for morale purposes, for the purposes of sending the message that they've officially arrived and they're actually ready to contend and possibly go on a playoff run, this is the team you got to beat to do it. I'm not so much worried about the Philadelphia Eagles. Cowboys have shown they can handle the Philadelphia Eagles, but recently they've shown that they can't handle the 49ers, albeit close games. So this is their boogeyman, and until they kill their boogeyman, they're not going to be able to get over that hump, even if only mentally. So if they were to go out there and lose this game, then of course for the rest of the season it'll be hovering above their head, and it might impact this or that. But if they go out there and they beat the 49ers, especially if they beat them decisively, there are no more questions about can they do it, but then there are also no more questions about if the 49ers are the best team in the NFC, because if they were, they wouldn't lose to the Cowboys, who have the best defense in the NFC and have a chance if, and I will get to X factors in a second, this is your segue, if one of my X factors explodes like I think he will, then this offense might be one of the best in the league early as Sunday.
Well, sir. Segue Jones, because I got a feeling I know who this X factor is. There's a whole bunch of dudes, bro. Like this team, Cowboys, Niners, this matchup. I mean, this kind of remind, and I hate to go back to the 90s, but look, man, this reminds me of when they battled in that way. Those are the best two teams in the NFC, and you have so many great players on both sides of the ball. But it's hard to narrow it down to one guy. But it sounds like you have. So, who is your X factor in this battle of dudes in this matchup?
I have two, one on each side of the ball.
Let's do it.
First, I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks. I think this is the week that Brandon Cooks explodes against opposing defense. I mean, week 1 muted because of rain and what the defense was able to do. Week 2, he misses because of the knee injury. Week 3, he gets back, but he's trying to work his way into the system. And, of course, that didn't go well with the Cardinals just in general. And then you had 3 starting offensive linemen out. Mike McCarthy admits he overreacted. He shrunk the playbook, took some of the verticality out. Now, week 4, Michael Gallup, he's found his legs. Jalen Tolbert, he's finding his legs. CeeDee Lamb already had his legs. Who's missing? Brandon Cooks. And this is the California boy going back to California. And not just that, the Stockton, California guy. He was born and raised only an hour from Santa Clara, which they'll be playing ball. So it's going to be comfortable air for Brandon Cooks. As far as, I don't think this feels like a home field advantage for the 49ers when you talk about guys like Cooks and Bland. This is their home dirt, right? This is their home air. And I think this is where the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy also finally dig deep into that bag, because you can't hold anything back if you want this game. And you want this game and you need this game. So no more, let's shut down this part of the playbook because of this. No, you need to go out there and absolutely rain hell upon the 49ers with your offense, and I think Brandon Cooks is going to be a huge part of that. Flipping to the defensive side of the ball, so many dudes to talk about. I could go for Micah Parsons. I could go for Tank. I could go for Osa. Neville Gallimore coming on very strong. I could go for LVE. You saw him impact last game. I could go for the secondary. Matter of fact, I will go for the secondary. Hello, Donovan Wilson.
Ooh.
Donovan Wilson, I believe, is going to be an X factor. Here's why. I believe that as much as you know as well as I know, you have to bottle up 2 specific players in order for the Cowboys to be successful against the Niners offense. Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys exist for Yak. They came out of the womb averaging 8 yards after the catch. So you have to make sure that you bottle them up. That's the bars. You have to make sure you bottle them up and play sideline to sideline. Here's where Donovan Wilson's going to come into play in that. Number 1, he's going to be utilized as far as helping to get additional pressure on Brock Purdy. It's also key to note that Brock Purdy, although he has no interceptions thrown, he's fumbled the ball 4 times when he was under duress in the pocket. He only lost 1 of those, but those are against teams that average less than a takeaway per game. Cowboys average 2.5 takeaways per game. Chances will be there for the Cowboys to take the ball away when they hit Purdy. Yeah, it will be there. Cowboys just got to, take the ball away when it gets the opportunity, and they will. But Donovan Wilson, he's going to be integral in helping create added pressure, putting Brock Purdy under duress. But when the ball gets in the hands of guys like Christian McCaffrey, when it gets in the hands of guys like Deebo Samuel, not only do you need a guy who could meet them at the point of attack, you need a guy with that kind of build and that kind of dog and that tone setter, so that when he meets them at the point of attack, he makes them wish that they hadn't caught the ball. That's Donovan Wilson, because then it starts to play into a guy hearing footsteps the next time he catches a screen pass or something like that. So Donovan Wilson is going to be massive as far as helping contain those two guys and pressuring Purdy on the offensive side of the ball. I think there's going to be a whole lot of California love for Brandon Cooks when he gets back out to Santa Clara.
Dallas will be going back to Cali.
Cali.
Appreciate you, Pat. Let them know where they can find your work at, man, because I know you're about to drop. Usually today you drop your science lab, right?
You know it, brother.
Yes,
I was
indeed.
up for several hours yesterday doing research for the science lab. It drops this morning, 10 a.m. Central Time on DallasCowboys.com. And it is a very, very deep and heavy read as far as finding the cracks in San Francisco's armor. It was not easy, but let me tell you, when I found them, they jumped right out at me. So the Cowboys have several ways they can attack this San Francisco team and come out with a win. So you want to definitely grab that read to find out how they can do it.
Let's do it, man. Appreciate you, big dog. We'll talk to you next week. It's Patrik No C Walker of the Scientific Method, DallasCowboys.com. See how smooth we getting with this thing, man. Shouts out to Patrik No C Walker. Make sure y'all keep up with him on Twitter at the Voice of the Star. If you're not following him, you're really not doing it right. He's going to provide you the real, and he's going to give you the in-depth science on your Dallas Cowboys. Y'all know how we do, right? Thanks for watching, and make sure to follow and subscribe to A to Z Dallas so you don't miss an episode of The Scientific Method. Every Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Central on Facebook and YouTube, with every episode available on A to Z Sports.com.